Yeah, here we go. What's up? This is Dr.Nima Rahmany here, and Dr. Georgiano, my buddy from Montreal. This is a Montreal, Vancouver type of interview slash Facebook Live I wanted to share. Take a moment to allow a few people to jump on. We're talking about the fatal flaws that we get in relationships. And I know because I have made that mistake. I have definitely been in that situation. But why I'm calling on my buddy George to conduct this little, lead this little discussion is because I really look up to him in terms of his relationship and how great of a listener he is. We've been friends. We've had a friendship, a coworker type of experience. George is one of my coaches in my Powerfully Aligned Mastermind program for the Overview Experience. And so one of the people that I look up to in terms of relationship. And so take it away, my brother. Tell us a little bit about why we're having this discussion.
Look, for those of you who don't know, I met Nima a little over a year ago. And I've been working on myself, working on my relationship since I'm 17 years old. If I count the amount of time and money, the amount of time is probably incalculable, but I've spent over $200,000 on myself, mostly in order to be the best man I can be in a relationship. The question I was always asking myself, even when I was 18, 19, is, am I being the person today that when my future wife walks by and sees me, she's going to say, this is the guy I want? So already back then I had that awareness that's what I was already seeking. Now, through the years, I've done a lot of seminars, I've done a lot of personal development. And when I met you last March, a year ago, March, 2 years actually. Man, time flies. Wow.
Ago.
It's been 2 years. That's crazy.
It was, yeah. 2 years.
And that was one of the best talks, best seminars that I have ever seen. And we had the discussion before the seminar. I go, what the hell are you going to bring that I haven't heard before?
I get that a lot. Yeah.
And it blew me away. And what made the difference is I took the time to sit and listen to you talk, at the seminar, like before the actual overview seminar. And because I heard you talk, I connected with you, and that's why I decided to do the weekend workshop. If I wouldn't have listened to you, I would have never, ever decided to do the workshop. So because I know the value of this, and I know how important a contribution this can be to people, that's why I want us to do this. That's why we organize a workshop so people can come, sit, listen to you talk, be amazed, get something out of it, and then decide, if they want to do the weekend workshop or not.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good point. I mean, going inward bound is a very challenging thing. Most people don't want to deal with emotions. They hit a point when life isn't working, a relationship isn't working. I know I've been through a divorce before. I know what it's like to want to end things. And the reason why I do it is because I love helping stressed, depressed, and anxious people turn their life around and have their best year ever simply by shifting their perceptions, restoring integrity with the broken down relationships, and then creating some structures in their lives. And we are living in an environment where anxiety, depression is a pandemic. And the approach that we're using is medication, endless psychotherapies, where it doesn't have to be that way. If we just connect to our purpose and restore connection within relationships through strategic communication that is authentic, and you can get your life back. And
Literally.
So that's, we became friends after that workshop, and you just decided, hey, let's bring it to Montreal. And here we are. I'll be there tomorrow speaking to the chiropractic students at Trois-Rivières, and then the following weekend in downtown Montreal doing, another, like our fifth or sixth time doing the overview experience there. So
That's right.
thank you for hosting. And so we're talking right now about the fatal flaw that we can have in every relationship.
That's right. Look, I've been married for almost 12 years. I've been with my wife for 15. We have a
And you've
eight-month-old.
never had a fight. Never had a fight.
If we define a fight as a breakdown in communication, yeah, it's happened. If we define a fight by screaming, like name calling, no, that's never happened.
Which is odd, which is strange,
Yeah.
because I've been married, I've been divorced. We get things, I'm Persian, things get heated. But it's not really, this conversation really isn't about, the communication style.
No,
it's about
that's
the
it.
fatal flaw that I've observed.
Yeah.
Why? I'm not a relationship expert. I'm a stress and emotions expert, and I can see where things break down.
I attended a talk, and it was very interesting. Like, I heard it again today. That's why I just thought about this. It was in a room with like tons of people, and they asked people, okay, how many of your parents are divorced? Very few people raised their hands. How many of you are divorced? Pretty much half the room raised their hands. And he asked, okay, well, how many of you believe you have a better communication with your significant others than your parents did? Every single person raises their hand, which means it has nothing to do with just communication. Because if it was just that, we'd be way ahead, okay? Way ahead. So what is the fatal flaw in relationships? Okay. I see two of them. Okay. I don't know if you want to bring something up first.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's basically where this whole discussion is about.
That's
and this
right.
is something that I basically learned after I went through this incredible transformation in my practice, where I sold my practice, and it's because I wanted to travel the world and teach people about the root cause of their stresses. And the fatal flaw that basically I discovered, and it was looking at my own life, looking in the mirror. Hey, Kat, what's up? It's good to see you on here. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from, and if you have any questions, there'll be some Q&A. The fatal flaw in every relationship is being right, is our incessant, non-stop need to be right.
Yep.
And hey, Ange, what's up? High five.
Oh.
Ange is like at the brink of coming and joining us in Montreal. So
Come on down.
Being right is like it's like crack cocaine to a human being. It's just what we need. And the problem with that is everybody wants to be right and everybody wants to look good. And so what ends up happening is, hey, see you in Montreal, Kat. Everybody seems to want to be right. And so what happens is, the reason why we want to be right is because it satisfies that little dark passenger within us that feels that I'm not good enough.
That's right.
Hey, Bonnie, what's up? So if you're in a relationship right now and you're having a clash, okay, maybe you're on the verge of a breakup. A lot of the clients that come to me, they're feeling stressed, anxious, and depressed. They're feeling lost because they're being triggered by something in a relationship, which is triggering a past event that is pitting them in the position where they're not good enough and unworthy of love. And what happens is we feel that by being right, it satisfies that part of us that feels unworthy of love.
Yep.
So if I can be right, then therefore I'm worthy of love. This is the unconscious, unspoken beliefs. And the shitty part about that is that when we are right, we're dealing with another person's dark passenger who also wants to be right, who also feels unworthy of love because of that little dance that you're going through. And then we have an explosion. So what does it take to transform this? Well, it only takes one person who decides who they are going to be as a stand in the relationship. And the transformation that I have, and I'm not a relationship coach, I'm not a relationship expert. I've I go through relationship challenges myself. I myself have a coach that helps me, kind of gives me a mirror and feedback to where I'm not being authentic and tries to get me back into action. And that's really what it's all about. The answer is to have strategic feedback from somebody whose opinion you care about. Sometimes that's a friend. Sometimes that's a family member. But the problem with friends and family using them as strategic feedback is because, hey, thanks, Amy. Thanks, Stefan. The problem with using family and friends for that strategic feedback, what do you think it is, George? What do you think the problem is if I take a friend out for coffee and I tell him, what's the problem with using a friend or a family member for strategic feedback if you're having a problem in your relationship?
Because we have relationships with everyone. The more baggage you have with someone, the more invested you are about being right.
That's right.
So if you're getting coached by a family member, if you're getting coached by a friend, it's very difficult for them to be objective,
right,
and to actually speak from what's better for you than what they actually want.
Exactly. Hey, Dida, what's up, girl? And Dida's a great example of having strategic feedback within relationships, within a relationship clash, to basically go, are you really looking at this from an objective standpoint? Because if you take a friend or a family member out, George, they also have an agenda for you. Okay. So it's kind of like when I was going through my divorce, I was, the worst place that I could go to for objective feedback was my parents, because they had my back and they're just supporting me. But sometimes the highest version of you doesn't require only support. Sometimes a person to look you in the eye and say, you're being an asshole, you're being an idiot, you're not looking at it from the correct perspective.
Yep.
And it's somebody who sees the greatest version of you, who doesn't have an agenda except the greatest version of you, to look at you with this relationship clash and go, look at it again, and own up to your part of the inauthenticity. Yeah. There's magic in that. And you can't get that often with a friend or with a family member, because they just only supportive, or they're pushing their agenda on you. See, I told you so. You know what I mean? That could possibly happen. And another problem with using, maybe you can go to a counselor or a psychologist. Here's the problem that I've seen. A lot of the clients that I come to have spent years in counseling with relationship issues. Guess what the problem is that they sit there and listen and support them in their story, keeping you stuck. If you're going to a therapist or a counselor for a relationship problem and they're supporting you in your story, they are keeping you stuck. And why? What's that good for? First, it makes you feel good because you're getting supported. Oh no, they're there. It's not your fault. He's the asshole.
Yep.
The problem with that is you're stuck. It's shitty for you, and that's great for the therapist or counselor, because you're going to keep going back with the same story. Whereas the style of coaching that I prefer is in your face, calling you out, because the highest version of you is ready to emerge once you clear that bullshit story.
You see, I love what you're saying, and I'll even add that everybody you talk to has an agenda. Yeah. They're either unconscious about it, which means they're making it about them.
Yep.
Or they have the training, the awareness, and the knowledge to consciously choose an agenda, which is standing for the greatest version of you.
Yeah. And Dita over there says, my friends are too nice. That's right.
Exactly.
Oh, you're so sweet. He was the asshole. You know what I mean? It doesn't serve the greatest version of you. And that's why, I get asked this question a lot, why? Why are you doing this? Well, I stand for transformation.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. I'm going to be traveling and volunteering my time to chiropractic students in Quebec this weekend, 3 days in a row, because I know what it's like to be on the brink of going from student to doctor, having all the stresses of student loans to pay and having to put on this face and having all this crippling anxiety and fear. And I stand for transformation of anxiety. And I know for a fact that the relationships that we go through, the relationships that that were broken down in my life was a major cause of my anxiety. And I knew that if I wanted to get peace of mind, I wanted to be able to walk in any room in the world and not have anything to hide or anything to fear. That's how you transform anxiety. And so that's why I'm going to be in Montreal on Wednesday, February the 1st.
That's
to
right.
talk to a group of people, 50 to 100. I'm not sure. The numbers are climbing, to teach about how to go from isolation to deeper connection. And my buddy George here is going to be the host of the evening. It's going to be at around his wellness clinic. And it's leading into the overview experience, which is a dramatic, transformative workshop. We're almost sold out. We're almost sold out
already.
We're only a few spots left. It's never happened before. Whereas, this close to, this far away from the course, where people go in there with a resentment in a relationship and they walk out transformed, and a commitment to bridging that gap for whatever. Maybe it was an ex-husband you haven't spoken to in years, and there's a falling out. Well, let me tell you, that's messing up with your life. Any disconnection in your life or a lack of integrity is creating an unworkability that is contributing to your anxiety. And so this workshop is only for people that are committed to clearing it. Pretty much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
people that are going to come on Wednesday night,
yes,
what are they going to get out of that evening? Why should they show up and listen?
Well, first and foremost, what's going to happen is you're going to learn about why anxiety and depression sink in, especially in this time of year. It's basically at a disconnection, and we're going to go into the neurology of why bonding is so important, why connection is so important, what the stress response is, and what causes breakdowns in relationships and the delusions that we think of and consider that are unconscious in our minds. You're going to come in with an understanding or maybe some sort of a present awareness of some sort of a breakdown that's happening. And you're going to leave with prioritize action steps and exercises that you can do that night to help bridge that gap and reconnect from that place of isolation. Because you're going to leave, and you're going to also leave with a community of people that you're now connected to and you're networking with, so that you can then connect deeper, enhance your business, enhance relationships, follow up. It's all about with a family of people who are high consciousness individuals. It's a meetup. Is the doing, because it's all about being Greek, right, George?
That's right. I want to acknowledge you've come, like it's going to be the 6th time.
George, I haven't yet seen his 8 months old.
Yeah.
I haven't yet seen his 8-month-old in person. I'm, Uncle Nima. I don't get, so it's the connection. And so the whole,
That's right.
like, this is amazing what's been created in such a short period of time. I'm going in that time of year, taking the risk in oxytocin. And we can do this online and it's nice, but getting there and connecting, taking time out of your schedule, disconnecting from